Hello and welcome to Basel Tov, the courage and creativity of ADHD. I'm Jen,
I'm Ellen.
And I'm Annette.
and today we have a topic that we've mentioned offhand several times during the course of all the rest of the episodes we posted. It's unmasking, the concept of unmasking your condition. So, what is that for people who have never heard the term unmasking? It's the idea that when you have some kind of disability, you go out in the world and try to mask its existence, to hide it away from everybody else, because the general thought is that the disability itself is unacceptable or a burden on others or something like that. And when you unmask, you basically take the shame and stigma away from the condition by not hiding it. And then you normalize its existence within the world so that other people have to realize, yes, this is a thing in life. It
Yeah.
exists. It's not a farce, like some people love to say about ADHD in the first place. In fact, this week we just got some of our first hate mail when somebody told us that ADHD is like oh god, what did they say it was? I'm trying to remember the exact
It's
thing. It was
a
like,
doctor's prescription for laziness. A doctor's note for
yeah,
laziness. Yeah.
basically a doctor's note for lazy people is what it
Mhm.
was. And so okay,
We
first
fed the
off,
troll.
just no. Only a little bit. I actually
I don't
haven't
I
gone
don't think they
back to
wrote
see
back
if there
though.
was.
I don't
I
think they
don't
wrote
think
back.
so.
No.
Yeah. I just, yeah, I posted a quick little thing and just, you know, bye. Just kind
Well,
of
I think I
went out
think
of it.
unmasking is a good thing because it's good to normalize ADHD. It's good for everyone to know like there's a lot of people that have this and we're tired of faking it all the time and just going
Hmm.
with the neurotypical flow of the world all the time without, and it's exhausting trying to fit in
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the systems that are in place. And so I feel like for me, and I mean, I'm sure we're going to go into the like more scientific details or whatever you have in that, but for me, I feel like unmasking, it's really been about just getting to know myself and kind of just understanding what parts of me are the ADHD, and then like you were saying, Jen, taking the shame out of it. And I've been more open with people about it, if I do something that's very blatantly my ADHD, sometimes I will even mention it to people like, "Oh, I that's my ADHD brain right there," just to kind of put it out there, I don't want to hide it. I don't want to flaunt it around. Everybody look at me, I got ADHD, but I think it's good to normalize it a little bit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. And
think so.
that's really what the spirit is behind it, is normalizing it. Because pretty much anybody who has ADHD knows that it's not a walk in the park to try to get a diagnosis in the first place. There are lots of
No.
things that have to happen. First of all, you have to have a mental health care professional take you seriously if you're a woman. Um,
That could
because
be tough.
they're, yeah, which can be pretty tough. Um, Men and boys don't have the same kind of trouble in that arena, but they still might have to go from counselor to counselor before they find somebody they're comfortable with or that they feel comfortable with. So, that's still a thing for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, it can spiral from there. You have to involve teachers potentially. You might have to involve a co-parent. You might have to involve your own husband or wife or whatever the case may be, to basically bolster your side of the story about your symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not easy. And then getting medicated is even harder because they make you go through different kinds of therapy sometimes for some up to a whole year. That was what happened to me. They had me test out different therapies for a whole year to see if I could just tough out the symptoms or learn appropriate coping mechanisms within that time frame. So I had to prove that my ADHD was bad enough that it couldn't survive all those therapies or
But
that it would survive.
But masking in and of itself is a coping mechanism, and that is what it is by definition. Masking, by
Yeah.
definition, is pretending to be neurotypical when you are neurodivergent. It is trying to exist in a neurotypical world and try to match the behaviors of everybody else around you to make it so that you don't stand out. And typically, the reason why men tend to get diagnosed more commonly than women is because women mask more than men do. And part of the reason for that is how we are taught to interact with society from the beginning of our lives. Women are taught that we are in a group and we have to work with others, and we have different social rules that we have to abide by, and to fit into social cliques you have to adjust your behavior to fit in, and we're taught that from a very young age. Men are more of a hierarchy, and they have a hierarchical structure, so they don't have to mask as much. They are more individual. They are more willing to show exactly who they are and what their personality is, because they don't get judged the same way as women do, and we're taught that from the beginning of our lives. So women with ADHD, not only do women mask more than men anyway in our daily lives, but we have to put on an extra mask because now we're trying to pretend that we are fine and we are functional when we're not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think the pressure intensifies after you have children, because in order for your kids to have friends, you have to befriend the parents of the other kids. So then if you haven't, yeah, so right, I know, which is that can be a real peach of a chore there. Um but it does have implications for your kids even if you fail the task of masking appropriately, which apparently I did because I'm medicated all these years later.
Oh,
But
there was just a story on Reddit the other day about that in the ADHD women sub. Somebody said they unmasked for the first time in front of like a new kind of mom friend group. They were all hanging out with their kids, and they said
mhm,
that they ended up kind of like talking about one of their hyper focuses, one of their interests, and they were just like word
mhm.
vomit, like going overboard explaining this in such great detail because they're so passionate about it. And they
Mhm.
said that the other moms were kind of looking at her like, oh, okay, like, yeah. And she was like,
Oh.
I took the mask off and regretted it,
Yep.
but
Welcome to
Oh,
my
that
life.
sucks.
yeah,
Yeah.
It
yeah.
happens to me
Yeah.
all the fucking time. So,
Mm,
like, I'm a
Oh no.
musician, and
yeah,
it's one of my things with ADHD. I tend to be an impulsive talker. Okay, so
yeah.
that is one of my biggest issues with ADHD is I can't shut up. And if I get into a situation where I have anxiety, it gets worse.
Oh no.
So
Why does our brain
Oh
do that?
god.
I don't know, but I walk into a room and it's like, I'm like, okay, be cool, dude. Be cool. Don't
Yeah.
talk. Just shut up. Just
Mhm.
smile, smile, smile. Then somebody asks me a question and I'm like, oh yeah. Da-da-da-da. And then I go off on something. And then I start panicking because I'm like, oh God, I'm going off on something. And then like, I try to like change the subject or ask them a question. And then it's like, oh, it's just derailed and all fucked up. And then I walk out
Too
going,
late.
God damn it.
Mm. So you've been there.
Oh,
Yeah, the mask comes off and then you put your foot in your mouth.
Mhm.
yep.
Yeah.
It's hard to just be yourself sometimes, isn't it?
Well, yeah, yeah, because being yourself is really an awkward human being. So,
But we love you.
Right.
but
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't it really fucking funny how neurotypical people all talk about like be yourself.
Yeah.
Yay, go
Yeah.
you. And then
You
And
don't
then
really want
we
that from us.
we no, no, they don't really want that. It's like lip service so that they feel like they get to be however they want, and then, other people just have to deal with that, but then they don't wanna deal with other people when they're weird.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Be yourself. Oh, I'm sorry. You're weird. I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Right?
I mean, I think that there's a balance to it, obviously, like, you don't wanna hurt other people with your unmasking, like, I mean,
Mhm,
it's tough though, because when you unmask, sometimes that can be really inconvenient for other people, but it's just what you need, and so it's
mhm,
hard to ask for that, it's hard, if you're at work and let's say someone tells you some verbal instructions and you won't remember that. You have to have instructions written down. It might be really embarrassing to like ask your boss, like, sorry, could you tell me that again? Or can I have that in writing? But it's like, if you need that, you just got to do it.
Oh,
And so, you
see,
know what I'm saying?
I've become a ninja with that kind of shit
Yeah.
because I need things in a certain way. And so I will always frame it in a way that it's not like, oh, my brain is like this. And so could you do
Yeah.
this? I'm always like, okay, I totally heard what you said. And just for future reference, just so I don't mess this up, could you
Yeah.
possibly put that in writing for me so that this doesn't become a problem in the future? Like,
Yeah, that's good.
mhm,
So there's
yeah.
polite ways to ask
yeah,
for things. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I could see.
without showing like your weakness. Like I've
Yeah,
I live
yeah.
in Japan.
I was gonna say, showing
You
weakness sounds like a very Japanese thing. Like, yeah, do not show weakness. Yeah.
mm-mm.
There.
You do not admit when you're sick. You
Oh man.
do not admit when you have a mental illness, when you are stressed, when you're
Mm.
tired. You just look and you say, "I'm fine, thank you." Genki
Oh
desu.
God.
Genki
Uh,
desu. Ah,
yeah.
genki
We're
desu
not
yo.
we're not fine. Yeah, we're not
No,
fine all the time.
no, but it's like Japanese people. Like we talk about masking in a way that is neurodivergent, but it's like I feel like this whole society just kind of has a mask, and you don't
Mm.
know
mm.
who's behind that mask. And you find
Hmm.
this in a lot of situations because they'll like pop up that mask and they're like, yes, yes, yes. And then you get to know them and the mask comes off and you're like, oh God.
That's interesting. You know,
Wow.
one of the things I really like about living in the Midwest of the United States, I moved out here about 6 years ago, lived on the West Coast most of my life, but I just love how a lot of the people here are very genuine. They're very honest and kind and friendly. And so I love that vibe. I feel like most strangers you talk to that you have a friendly conversation with, they're just being themselves, and there's not a ton of like masking in that regard going on here. So I like that. It's more down to earth, I guess. Like, people are just living their lives, not really caring too much about what other people do. And I feel like in other cultures there's just more, certain cities, there's more pressure to kind of fit in or be a certain way. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like,
Well,
every
in
place we're always masking.
in Japan, there is a Japanese proverb that says, "The nail that's sticking up gets the hammer."
What's
That
so
means don't
Oh,
stand out.
that's ugly.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I mean, I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
like, bash their culture or anything right now, but that's like, ooh, that sounds coming from an American standpoint and, like, you know,
It's like,
thinking
"But
the
what
way
if
that
I
we
need help?"
think, it just no.
But on the opposite side of that, this society is very safe. They work
Yeah.
together. They work for the good of everybody
Mhm,
else. It's a very community driven society. And so, no, yes, the individual has to die in a way, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of what that masking is that
Mm,
you you do not exist for your own self. You exist as part of a community. And
that's
so
so
if you
interesting.
complain about something, you're bringing down the entire community. So don't complain, put your head to the
Mm,
stone and do what you're supposed to do. You have
wow.
okay.
obligations, do what you got to do. And so
Okay.
I find it very stressful because
Yeah.
I have I have like double masking going on because I have to mask as an American who is taught to be very, individualistic and independent,
Right.
I have to mask that to fit into society here. And then I also have to mask all of my ADHD symptoms as much as I possibly can. Because, I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
the things that you think about with ADHD, like the impulsiveness and things, that goes directly against what Japanese society is.
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah.
I have to really double mask, and it's exhausting because masking is exhausting.
It is. It's
It is,
emotionally
yeah.
exhausting. It's so
That's
hard.
probably why I like to talk to other people and I am social to a degree, but like most of the time I just feel like, oh, I don't know if I have enough energy to go out or to have people over or whatever, like just kind of
Right.
hang out like an introvert in my house. So like
Yeah, the
I guess
people that you wanna
technically I'm
spend
introverted, but
I
hmm?
mean, true, but, like, the people you spend your time with are probably people you feel like you don't mask with. You can just be yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and it's as much as like getting to know yourself by masking is a good thing, I mean, it can also be a bad thing. Like there's certain situations where I would not advise taking off your mask.
Mm, mhm.
There are certain settings where you kind of have to be more vigilant about it because again, you are part of a society. And
Yeah.
I think that's the part where I living in Japan has really shown me that. And then it's like, you know, it's great to advocate for yourself. You should, but also you're a part of a larger community. And
Yeah,
so,
you have
Yeah.
responsibilities beyond yourself too. I mean, it's I guess,
yeah.
yeah, in a society.
Yeah.
And I personally feel like it's good for us to look out for other people,
Mhm.
do unto others whatever that Bible verse is. It's good shit.
Yeah, do unto others as you want
Yeah.
done to you.
Yeah, yeah, why not? That sounds great. So I can see how somebody might take unmasking and take it too far, and just be rude to people all the time. And they're like, well, that's just the way I am. I'm ADHD. I forget things. That's just the way I am. Deal with it. So it's like, don't use unmasking like that. Don't use it as an excuse, but use it as knowledge and a tool and uh a way for people to get to know you better, the real authentic you, because we all want real connections in our life. And you can't have those if you're putting on a mask with someone. You're not going to connect with them the
Mhm.
same way as if you were just yourself. So,
That's true.
yeah, it's a
That's
balance.
true.
Hmm.
Yeah. It really
Unmask,
is.
no, but be discerning about it. Like you were saying, and that, like, there's certain situations. I can't even think of a good example. Can you guys think of a good example?
Funerals.
Oh, yeah. Just do really good one. I'm sorry if you need to stim or something, or you're being distracting, like
Yeah.
whatever. You're if you're gonna
Yeah.
bother a bunch of people, just do no harm. First
Sit
do
in
no
the
harm.
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Do it right. Make accommodations for yourself. Like if you're going somewhere and you're like, I'm gonna get really bored, and if I start like shaking my leg in the middle of this funeral, it's gonna annoy everyone. Yeah, sit in the back row.
Oh man, no. I
Know
used to get
yourself.
distracted in funerals. Like I've been to funerals where I got distracted and then got something funny in my head and started laughing in the middle of it.
God. See, that's probably ADHD, intrusive
Yeah.
thoughts right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Seriously
gotta
intrusive thoughts and then I
keep
just
that mask
couldn't
on
even.
tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I've
hold on to
never
it
been
for
good at
dear life.
masking though, so I just got in trouble.
Oh, I know. That's what happens when you unmask when you're a kid, is you get in trouble.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
but even I told you guys in the chat, but like I just did a show for the Latin America a car company, a very famous car company.
ooh.
And I did a party for them and I was singing and I met some of the like the CEOs and and
Oh, yeah, yeah, some of the executives.
and
Yeah.
so they
Mhm.
were talking to me, but what they're talking about was not very interesting. And so I totally like in front of their face, like disassociated and started thinking about other things. And so like my face went dead. And like
Oh,
one of the executives is like, "Are you okay? You look a little sick." And I was like, "Oh
Oh
shit."
my
I
god, that's hilarious.
oh
They caught you.
no.
They caught you
was
in
like,
outer space. Yeah.
"No, I'm
Oh.
fine. I'm just a little
No,
tired."
no, yeah, it just you're just incredibly
Yeah.
boring, and my brain can't handle this conversation right now, but gotta mask it.
Oh my god.
God, if we truly unmasked, that would be life would be hard. You gotta hold it together somehow.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between, unmasking and then just, having all of your symptoms like balls out on the table for
Yeah,
everybody, you
actually,
know?
that's a good point. There's a difference.
Yeah, like I think there is totally a difference between that. Like unmasking to me means I'm still going to make an effort to
Mhm.
like learn and do the things I'm supposed to do in a timely manner. I'm still going to try to function the best way that I can because it's good for everybody, but
Yeah.
including myself. But at the same time, I might make mistakes. And, that's just what I'm asking other people to be aware of if I'm unmasking is, hey, if I make mistakes, I'll try to, fix it in some way. I'm taking responsibility or accountability for it right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But, I mean, those mistakes might always happen, you know?
Yeah.
I'm probably always going to be a clumsy person, and when I'm, at a bakery working in the kitchen, I'm probably always gonna be dropping eggs or bumping things over, and if I
Mhm.
apologize and say, "I won't let it happen again," I can't make that promise, you know? I got
Yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
unmasking is just being real with myself and embracing who I am, and it's like, it's okay. It might take me a little longer to get things done because I'm not the most organized and I'm a little messy, but I'm just gonna do what I need to do to make up for that. Work a little extra if I have to, or, you know,
Mhm.
just figure it out from there. But I think unmasking to me is just embracing myself the way I am. Of course, trying to make improvements, but like at a certain point,
Mhm.
depending on how old you are, especially, you just are like, "This is who I am. This is the way I
Yeah.
am. I'm never gonna be a perfect human being. I can improve some
Yeah.
things, but, you know, we're wired a certain way."
Yeah.
I
Pardon
don't
me.
know.
Yay. It's
But
okay.
also, that's just me being stubborn and apathetic about improving too, because I'm lazy.
Yeah. Uh,
So, if I'm being real honest here, you know?
yeah, I'm not sure I can be called lazy. Like, I've kind of flip-flopped on this because, like, of course, I've been called that by abusive people, so there's
Mhm.
the tendency to be like, "Am I lazy?"
You're not
You
a
know,
lazy
like
person.
like, is that what's going on here? But, I if I look at things objectively and how hard I've had to work to get where I'm at, I don't know if I can legitimately be called
I
lazy.
know, and you know what? I shouldn't call myself lazy. I take that back. Even though
Yeah.
I can display some traits of laziness at times, but, we don't wanna put ourselves in a box.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I don't know if you are lazy.
Mm,
I
mm.
I think you just have a more laid back approach to life.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, that's
Yeah.
part of it. I don't
Yeah.
like a lot of activity, you know? I that's just I prefer that to have a little more low life.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
anybody
fine.
has ever accused me of being lazy. So
No, no, no.
No.
my
Nope.
problem isn't lazy, like any perception of lazy. Mine is just I'm clumsy, same as
Mhm,
you, uh, and I'm impulsive,
mhm.
and I'm uh, confused. I guess. Like, I just like I'll start something and then start something else, and then I'm like, wait, what was I doing? And it's like I feel absent-minded a lot.
Yeah, scatterbrained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
scatterbrain.
Yeah,
That's yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that too. It's like you walk into a room, wait, what was I doing? Yeah, a lot of that.
Oh, I do that all the time. I'm like, why did I come in here? Or I'll like come
Yep.
out, go upstairs to grab something, and then I grab
Mhm.
something else and go back downstairs, and then I'm like, hell, I forgot that thing. And like,
Forgot the phone
Yep.
charger or whatever
and
it is.
I
Oh, yeah.
know if I'm gonna go do a gig in Tokyo, I'm gonna forget at least one thing every time. I have
Oh,
never
man.
had a perfect, like,
Oh,
uh,
a perfect pack.
I've never had it. Like, it never happens. There's always something that's missing.
Yep.
Oh, man. Oh, that's so frustrating. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, so frustrating. And that's I think that can be one of the like some of the frustration assigned to just admitting that you have ADHD to other people in the first place and feeling comfortable with unmasking because of the
Mhm.
fear that they're going to go back and be like, "Oh, so that's why they're like this and this and this and this and that." Like, you
Mhm.
know. And then all of a sudden you feel called out.
Well, I think it helps. I don't know. In some ways, I think it helps people kind of understand you too. When you like, I remember after I got diagnosed, I told a bunch of people, and they were like, "Oh, okay, that
That
makes
makes
sense."
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So when people know that you have ADHD, I know not everyone's comfortable sharing that with other people, but I would really encourage you to if you feel like it's a safe person to share with, because it's
Mhm.
it's good to normalize this. It's good for people to know that we exist out there. Because as we were saying, there are a lot of people out there. There are trolls that don't understand what ADHD is and because they
Yeah.
themselves don't have it and so they probably just can't imagine what it's really like.
Either that or they do have it and they're, like, extra militant about masking.
Yeah, yeah, they're in denial. That's why they hate
In
it.
complete
Mhm.
denial. Yeah. Like, I've had it hard too. I just pulled up my bootstraps and you should do the same. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
If only
maybe
it was that
not.
easy.
Yeah, I mean, I it kinda kills me when people do stuff like this, like the whole bootstrapping, and it's like, well, how far are you gonna take that? Are you gonna go have a root canal without anesthesia because you,
How
you
tough
wanna,
are you?
bootstrap it, you're super tough, you've survived things, you can survive this root canal just completely unanesthetized. Go for it. Like,
Mhm.
well, I mean, some people don't wanna do that, and I think that
Yeah.
it's ludicrous to expect every single person to want to go through a day that's the equivalent of having an unanesthetized root canal. Like, yeah, just no. No, no, no. The
So,
medication's better.
I think we probably know people that I would like you could say that person is unmasked. They're very open about who they are and their
Mhm.
neurodivergence and everything. And sometimes those people can get really annoying. I'm just being honest here, you know? And
I
so
I totally did not think that's where that was going.
I know,
No, but
but
I feel the same.
so that's what I'm saying.
It's
We have to
true.
we have to we have to be careful when we unmask because yeah, there's a balance. You don't want to piss off your friends too much, but
You don't wanna wind up with an inordinate amount of kitten pictures that are, like, clinging to the branch and
yeah, yeah,
inspirational
yeah.
thoughts and
Hang in
all
there,
that.
baby. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, you don't wanna
it's like
collect too many of those.
I want people to be themselves. I want them to feel comfortable being themselves, but also like we were saying, like accountability is important too, and responsibility and being a team player with other humans that you
Yeah.
connect with. So I don't think it's great to just say I'm gonna unmask and just be myself and fuck everybody.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I'm just because of the emotional and sometimes physical tax that masking takes.
Yeah.
I think that you have to, if you can, because there are some people who have ADHD that they cannot think through, oh, is this a situation I should mask? Or is this not? I mean, there are some people, especially if you have ADHD that's mixed with a little dash of autism, as some of us do have,
Mhm.
you don't have the ability to really be able to read the social cues. People with ADHD tend to be really good at reading micro expressions and going, "Oh shit, I went too far." Sometimes it's really
Mhm.
hard to reel it back in once we've, let the cat out of the bag. But uh, those of us who have ADHD and autism at the same time are missing those social cues. And
Mhm.
so the people who tend to be out there and unmasked tend to, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I think those more typically the autistic type, because they don't
Mm.
they don't they just they can't read the same social cues, and so it doesn't matter to them if they're really how the other people are responding to them in some ways.
Mm. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Okay. Yeah, but, like, I mean, probably some of this because, ADHD is only it's part of the component of autism. So, technically, I think don't all autistic people also have ADHD? Like,
No,
no? Oh, I was told that it's a component of that
no, it's
diagnosis.
no, it's not. It's a it's separate diagnosis.
Mm.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
that's why you can have ADHD with autism. It's a separate diagnosis, but it tends to be
Mm,
run in the same group. So many people who have
okay.
autism
ADHD.
will also have ADHD, but it's not part of the
Mhm.
same diagnosis. People many
Right.
people who have ADHD are not at all on the autism spectrum. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It doesn't go I didn't think that it went both ways like that where, you're on the autism spectrum if you have ADHD. It's just
it doesn't go the other
what
way
I
either.
yeah,
They
no.
tend to be
Okay.
a comorbidity.
Okay.
Okay. I hear you. All right. Thanks for getting me around to that point.
Yeah, yeah, like my sister is one of those who have autism and ADHD
Oh boy,
together.
yeah.
And so
Fun.
yeah, and so she tends to have that, but there's lots of people on the autistic spectrum that do not have ADHD. um
Okay.
yeah, it just tends to be a comorbidity, but it is a predominant
Mhm.
uh comorbidity. It's more
Yeah.
common than it's not.
I
Mhm.
do know that people who have, CPS CPTSD have, like, basically the way that the PTSD symptoms and the ADHD symptoms interlace, it's almost indistinguishable from autism and ADHD.
Wow,
Um
really?
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I asked, a couple of therapists and got that general reaction, that because I was like, is it possible that I could be autistic?" Because I was having so many extra things, and they said because I had CPTSD and combined type ADHD, it was going to be downright impossible for them to try to figure out which was which. So they just had
Mhm.
me keep the CPTSD because that was founded in recorded abuse. So
Mhm.
like that was something that they knew I would have regardless. And if I have autism, I'm not sure if that would even be treated differently or not, to be honest.
Well,
But
here's the interesting thing about that is because there are some like memory function uh signs that are
mhm,
definitely autism and information processing that you can look at to show okay, this is autism, because my sister also has uh PTSD. So she has
okay.
all three. She is the magic
Ugh.
mushroom of human beings.
Yeah.
Man,
Yes.
holy
Good
crap.
for her.
And yeah,
I do not envy.
yeah,
I do not
at some
envy.
point I want to drag her on here and to be a guest on the show to
Oh, yeah.
talk
Yes.
about that, because she has a lot of different things that express into how she lives her life and experiences her life with ADHD. And
Yeah.
so it really does inform that area of ADHD and how
Hmm.
she relates to it, where I can't relate to that. And so,
Yeah.
but there are information processing things that you can look at and go, okay, well, that is definitely PTSD would not do that to you. This is actually how your brain is functioning and processing information that shows more of
Mm.
the autistic side. So you can separate out through that.
Mm, interesting.
Okay. Huh. All
Yeah.
right.
But based off of symptoms, if you have CPTSD and also ADHD, a lot of the symptoms of both of them coming together could give you some of the similar symptoms of autism. And it depends
Mhm.
on how far on an autistic scale somebody is, because there's lots of people who are borderline autistic who function
Mhm.
perfectly fine in society. And,
Yeah.
so it really does depend on the severity of it for you, but PTSD
Yeah.
would definitely not give you some of the more standing out symptoms of autism.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. Okay. Yeah. Maybe they just didn't entertain it because they didn't think that that was at play. And they were
Mm,
just like, "Oh, no, we don't have to." Like, maybe that was their way
that's
of saying,
entirely
"No, I don't think
possible.
so."
Yeah, that's entirely
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
I asked my psychiatrist if she thought I had any autism in me. I was like, "What do you think? Do I got any of the spice?" And she was like, "No, I don't think so."
Any of the spice.
Yeah.
It is autism is definitely a different spice. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
and I work with a lot of autistic kids, so
Mhm. Yeah, you
uh
Yeah.
see it in your classroom.
yeah, I see it in my classroom, I see it in the kindergarten, I deal with lots of
Mhm.
autistic kids, and I'm trained to deal
Yeah.
with you know neurospicy children.
Mhm.
Adults,
Yeah.
I've studied adults, but not to the point that I've studied to deal with children, because my
Mhm.
Yeah.
my focus was child psychology. So,
Yeah.
but it's definitely different spice. I will be able to spot an autistic kid from an ADHD kid almost immediately,
Mhm.
just based on their behaviors.
Ah, okay.
So, what kind of stuff do you think we can do with kids to help teach them about unmasking in like a healthy way? You
That's a
know?
really good question, because
That is a good question.
kids who are neurodivergent, they're still having all of the symptoms. I think one of the greatest things, it's harder to teach. The more on the autistic scale you are, the harder it is to teach the social cues. If you're dealing with a kid who has ADHD, I think one of the most important skills that you could teach them is empathy.
Mhm.
Mm.
The more empathetic a child is, the more they will be able to read situations, take into account. They'll look more internally into their behaviors and how it affects other people. And
Mhm.
I think, naturally, through that, empathy, they learn to, okay, this is a place where I can do this, and this is a place where I can't do this. And so
Mm.
I think empathy
Yeah.
is really important. I think teaching coping mechanisms to children is really important. If you have a kid who has hyperactive ADHD, giving them an outlet or advocating to their school, or that they have an outlet. But the child, you can't just put it on the teachers. You have to, really teach your child. Yes, I know you have this thing. Here is your outlet. Do it like
Mhm.
this. Do this, or
Mhm.
okay, you. For me, I couldn't, I cannot just listen to somebody. So in school, I would draw pictures while I was listening to the teacher. I heard everything she was saying, but if I had put that away, if I wasn't drawing a picture, then I wouldn't be able to hear a process a single thing she said.
Mhm.
And so having your kid understand, like, you know, and having a balance between it being a hyper focus and something they're doing as a coping mechanism, and as a parent, you just kind of have to watch them and kind of guide them in that, and
Mhm.
they'll learn
Yeah.
to see it for themselves.
Yeah,
But
because I don't want my kids. I don't want them to feel like they have to mask who they are as they grow up.
yeah,
Like, but yeah. So it's like, how do we approach this? I like
empathy.
yeah. I really. That's a really good point. I mean, honestly, that's kind of what it boils down to. It's like, if you want to unmask, great, you should, but just have empathy for other people. Yeah. Think about
Yeah.
that when you're doing your unmasking thing and you're just being your crazy self. Do it, but just
Mhm.
make sure that you're thinking about that other person's perspective. How are they receiving what you're doing right now? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And learning where you can mask, where you should mask, and who you can unmask with. I think
Yeah.
there are safe people who
Yep.
you can unmask with, and then there are people where you definitely still need to, rein it in a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just part of living in a society. We're not neurotypical, we're neurodivergent, but we still
Mm-hmm.
exist within a society.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
Mhm.
if we were really going to be honest and unmasked, if the cashier at the grocery store, when they ask us how we're doing, then we could just tell them, whatever whatever was going on that day. We would just have word vomit coming out. So yeah, it's like, you don't want to do
yeah.
that. Just remember you're in society, and there are a few rules that are good to play, so that everybody's fine.
And
Mhm.
I do think
Yeah.
it's important to approach the idea that ADHD coming out, like it being a really well known diagnosis, is still kind of new. And with every social movement, with every social step that happens with gay rights, with
Mhm.
transgender rights, with interracial marriages, even every
Mhm.
step that takes, it's like you almost have to the society almost over presents itself in
Mm.
a
Mm.
like in your face kind of way, like, look, deal with it, deal with it, deal with it. I
Yeah,
mean, the same thing happened with
Mhm.
gay rights and gay marriage, and it's like, you know it has to be in society's face in such a bold way for people to be forced
that
to
is
look at it.
That is such a good point. Yes, with that movement, it was like, we're here, we're queer, we exist,
Get used
acknowledge
to it.
us, get used to it. Exactly. And it's like,
Mhm.
us with ADHD, we're kind of like, we exist. Please
Yeah.
acknowledge that this is a real disorder here and we're dealing with it. Yeah,
And
bringing
I
awareness.
mean, there's AD and neurotypical people, by the way, have a higher incidence of being in the LGBTQ community as well. So, like,
Neurotypical people?
No, neurodivergent.
I'm sorry, did I say
Okay.
You
neurotypical?
said neurotypical.
I did. Well, you know what?
It's
We're just
okay.
You were about to blow my
whatever.
mind with that fact.
Boom. No, neurodivergent people are more likely to be a member of the LGBTQ community in some fashion or another. So, happy Pride Month, by the way,
Yes.
Yeah,
since it's
happy Pride Month. Hell
yeah, since
yeah.
it's the beginning of the month here, and
Mhm.
everybody's just about to start all the festivities.
Yes. Yes, we're
Yeah,
celebrating
so
love, and
that's
love
right.
is
Yes.
love.
So
Mhm.
love yourself and unmask. Yay!
Yeah, yeah, seriously, have empathy for yourself, because masking is hard, and it's not
Yeah.
good for you long term either. I think
No.
it's like drinking a poison all the time. It's just gonna make you sick, and
Yeah.
you're gonna end up resenting who you present yourself as to other people. You feel like you have to keep up that facade, with certain people,
Mhm.
and that's
And
exhausting.
It is.
I think that's a facet of our reality as neurodivergent people that the LGBTQ community, whether they're neurotypical or not, they could
Yeah.
probably relate with that. Like, you
Yeah.
know, just having to hide pieces of who
Yeah.
they are, big
Mhm.
pieces of who they are.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Not
you
trying to
know,
compare our struggles to their
Nope.
struggles, of course. Yeah,
no, it's
but
not a comparison, but
no,
it
no,
is
no,
it's more of an empathizing like, hey, I think
no. Mhm.
on our level, we can understand it, and on their level, they can understand it. So,
Yeah, you can pretend to be a different person,
Mhm.
and because you can pretend to be what you think society wants you to be, but if that's not who you are, that's gonna hurt you.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
yeah,
you
it's
can
gonna
just crumble
exhaust
as a
you.
human being.
You'll
Yeah.
be more prone to depression.
Yeah.
Masking
Mhm.
is one of the causes of depression for people who have ADHD.
And
It's
you
one
hear
of the
about,
sources.
I mean, people that write suicide notes, I feel like a lot of them just kind of felt like they built up this whole facade that was just crumbling. They couldn't keep it up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes.
It's good to just,
Sometimes it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
like be real and honest with how you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. I'm just like, that's like it's a nice thought. Like,
Yeah.
oh, what if you could just be yourself totally? It's a
Mm-hmm.
refreshing idea,
But is
right?
that
Like,
actually possible for any human? Like
I don't know.
neurotypical,
No,
neurodivergent? Can you actually just be yourself? Is that a thing?
no, I don't think it's possible.
I don't know. I might argue that it is because I feel like I am unmasked more than a lot of people are. Just
Mm-hmm.
I
If
don't
you live
know,
by
I
yourself,
kind of present myself out there, or at least that's how it seems to me, and maybe I'm in complete denial about that, but, like,
no,
I don't know, I feel like it's possible.
I feel like you live pretty authentically, you know?
Oh, thanks.
Like, yeah, you're not faking it.
Oh,
I
I'm a
Um,
try not
faker
to.
all the way.
whatever, you're kicking
I
ass.
think it just
Well,
feels like that.
no, I have a mask I wear because I own a business and I have to deal with people and yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Mm,
We have
fair.
so many masks that we wear for different situations at our
Yeah.
job, at wherever. Yeah, whatever situation
Yeah.
it's in. It's like, oh, gotta act a certain way because I'm in this situation right now. You know.
Yeah.
That's why
True. True.
I asked that cuz I don't feel like there is a possibility ever of me just freely being the awkward person that I am, you
And it's
know.
like, would we want that for ourselves? Do we? I mean, I don't think I'd want to just be my my core self, or not core self. What am I trying to say? You know, I don't know. I feel like I have to mask sometimes to like just get through life and get things done, or else you're just, you know, at least from my perspective, inattentive type, tending towards being a little more inactive. Sometimes you have to put on that mask and just do it. Just get up and go. Fake it if
Mhm.
you have to, but you have things that you need to do because you have
Right.
responsibilities. And so if I didn't mask ever, then I might have a rough time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Maybe I've
hard.
just maybe I can't tell what the mask is anymore.
But like
I know.
there's a lot of people like if you're prone to fidgeting, like
Mhm.
you cross your arms in front of your body so that like you try not to fidget.
Mm.
That's masking. You
Mm,
park
okay.
your car is an absolute mess and you're totally embarrassed by it, so you park like really far away all the time so nobody sees the inside of your car, or your house is a
Mhm.
mess so you never invite people over. Those are
Mm.
masking
Oh,
tendencies.
I
Uh,
don't mask.
uh,
I
yeah,
I just I'll invite somebody and be like, "Yeah, my house is messy. I'm real sorry about that. Like, if you're uncomfortable with it, then, we can go somewhere else or something." Like
Yeah, yeah.
like,
people like
yeah.
setting like setting an alarm to remind yourself to not be too fucking talkative. That's a mask. Like,
I wonder if
Oh,
masking is
wow.
also lying about what's going on, you know? If you're late to work
Might
and
be.
you become a compulsive liar because you don't want to say that you have ADHD and you can't get out of bed on time or whatever, you know. Yeah, if you're always making excuses for yourself, maybe
yeah,
excuses are like,
there is some of that in some people. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
you tend to build like a different facade around everything or make up stories because the stories are more acceptable than the fact that I just lost track of time and I'm late for work.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. I feel like before I was medicated and diagnosed and I had no idea what was really going on with me, that I would, do stuff like that way more often
Hmm.
where but then again, I also like had jobs outside my house way more often back then too. Like, can you imagine if telecommuting were a thing now? Like, the same the setups that we have now, can you imagine if we had that back when we were younger and like just coming into the working world and we just get a telecommuting job from home because, you know, the to and from back, you know, home to work and back, like that's just too much for you.
I
Like,
always hated the
I don't
commute.
know. I probably would have done like had a job or two and then been like, nope, I'm working from home. Like,
Yeah.
because I just don't mask. It exhausts the shit out of me, to be honest. And um I don't, most of the time I'm not masked and I just tell people really uncomfortable truths, sometimes to their face. I've gotten really good at that. Sometimes I'll feel bad about it later and apologize, but like I
Yeah.
just I've kind of I've hit this point in my life where I don't give any more fucks. I have 0 fucks in my bank account.
Yeah.
And,
You're like, this is
and I
just who
can't
I am.
pay any more than I already have.
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I think there are certain people out there who, you know, have had certain lives and they might be prone to this style of thinking, where it's like, well, fuck it, you know, like if
Mhm.
I'm going to lose anyway, so fuck it. Like,
We're all getting to, I mean, we're pretty much middle-aged too now. Yeah,
Oh,
so
shut that shit up right now.
well, I'm just saying, we're running out of fucks
hey,
anyway. Yeah.
I have like, you know, I have longevity genetics. Maybe I'm not technically middle-aged. Maybe I'll be
That's
middle-aged when I'm
true.
50 instead.
See, that's what I think.
Ah. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. No.
All right.
Yep. We're going to delay this whole middle-age thing for another 10 years just because I don't feel like admitting it right now.
That's,
That's right.
yeah, I'm masking that shit right up.
Oh, yeah. Survive another
I
10
know.
years of masking.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
God, you could mask about anything, couldn't you? About age. Look at all this makeup we're wearing. Holy shit. Like
I know. If we
I don't
really
even
wanted
wear
to
as much as
mask,
some people.
I don't know. I think young people wear a lot of makeup these days too, but
Although I am wearing a lot less today than normal.
yeah,
I'm
makeup is
just
one
like,
literal mask that we put on for the world.
yeah,
Ugh, it's
yeah,
kind of wild,
very
isn't it?
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fashion is another one.
Yeah. It's
Just the
just,
entire concept of
yeah,
fashion. It's a
everything to do
mask.
with image. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
said I
Exactly.
am the
Yeah.
queen of
Yeah.
masking. And
Queen of masking. Somebody hand this woman a tiara. Like,
It could be
yeah,
fun sometimes. It could be fun to mask, see how well you do.
I just like painting.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
therefore I like makeup.
yeah, me
Oh,
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you're
Me
saying.
too.
Yeah, it is
I like
fun. It's
painting,
fun.
therefore I like makeup. You know, it's
Mhm.
a paint, very much a painting kind of thing. I
Yeah.
even have like a lot of pencil makeups where it's like, you know, in pencil form or pen form or like brush form or something like that because I just love painting, you know?
I just
Perfect.
love that you pluralized makeup.
Did I?
I didn't hear that.
She said makeups.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Oh,
That's funny.
Did I say makeups or did I say makeup? I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out when Annette finally re-listens to this as she's editing our our episode, and then she'll be like, "Oh, yeah, you really did say makeups." I'll be like, "Ah, well, fuck." And
Damn.
that's just kind of how our conversations go. Unmasked behind the scenes.
That's why
Wait,
I love talking with you guys on this show because I feel like we can take the mask off together, and just be
mm,
real. So
Oh,
I
same.
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
me
the same.
too. It is the best. And I think that's why everybody with ADHD or any form of neuroatypical flavor, spice, whatever,
Neurospicy.
whichever spice you are.
Mhm.
um it's always good to have a support group of friends.
Yeah.
Whether they're on the internet from a chat room, if they're on in a Reddit group, if they're like just like a Facebook group, a
AI
Twitter
chatbot.
circle. Yeah.
No.
No, not AI chatbot. No, no,
Don't get therapy
no,
from them.
actually. Don't
Yeah.
get therapy from AI. Somebody's already killed themselves.
Yeah. Don't listen to
Look it
them.
up.
But yeah,
It's
It
true.
is
but
true. That is
We
a
do
true
need,
Yeah.
statement.
I know.
Don't do it.
We do need
But
an opinion to
no,
support us.
yeah, we do need a group of literally like-minded people to
Mhm.
to support us as we go through all this, cuz like I I mean, we all had each other as friends as teenagers, and we've grown up together very much over life, and it's been one of the things that I could count on is having at least 2 other people who would understand exactly where I'm coming from on any given faux pas. And,
Mhm.
just knowing that felt really amazing, and can't I can't say enough about that. But, like, if you have some kind of neuroatypical spice,
Mhm.
try for some kind of group. It doesn't matter if you don't know anyone in real life who has ADHD or autism or dyslexia. You can find support groups for that, sometimes through counseling offices, sometimes through community centers, sometimes through social media. So any friend is better than no friend, especially when you all have ADHD together. Um,
Right.
so yeah, get yourself on some kind of group and yay,
Yeah,
support
so
friends. Yes.
unmask, but
Magic
do no
magic
harm.
wand. See, I'll unmask even further now that we're in the spirit of unmasking. Usually Ellen is the one who's high for these shows. Ellen is just baked out of her mind every show, but today I've traded places with her and I'm the one who's baked out of my mind today. And I don't know if any of you guys have heard it in my voice, like, "Hey, she sounds really smiley today. Hey,
That
she
girl's
can't
high as
English right like
fuck.
normal, and she's not even multilingual." Like, so, yeah. Now, I can tell you that when I was sitting back and going, "Do I think I need another hit?" And then my brain was like, "Yeah, totally." And it was a mistake, guys. It was a mistake. Um,
Oh, now you know.
now I
Lesson
know.
learned.
Oh no,
Yeah, if I'm ever there.
I like you this way. It's great.
Too much weed and the mask slips a little too much.
Little yep.
It falls
Yeah,
off.
I know. I'm probably gonna regret this at some point, but that's okay because literally all my friends will be there to laugh about it at this point. So
Mhm.
But surprisingly, the Kraken has not revealed itself.
Oh,
the
the Kraken.
Kraken. Yes. Surprisingly, the Kraken has not revealed
That's
itself.
when Jen drinks wine, then the Kraken
Yeah.
comes out. Yeah.
Oh God. I know, right? I've threatened
Mhm.
to come on this show a little bit plastered before, and I'm like, maybe it's a terrible idea. It's probably a terrible idea. I'm gonna regret it. I'm gonna regret it.
Have to have a
Yeah.
special episode for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to have a episode where either we drink or I have to drink. You guys can't. Like you guys can smoke pot. I can't. So,
Mhm.
but like
Yeah.
have a you know a, a
Doing it
challenge.
live.
ADHD.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
ADHD trivia. We should each have like some
roulette.
kind of obscure trivia or yeah, roulette. Obscure trivia night. Yay.
That'd be a good episode.
And then oh my God. Yeah. We should find some way to
I'm here
torture
for it.
ourselves in the most
Mhm.
humiliating way just for other people to laugh at us.
Yeah,
We
In
should
the
do it.
spirit of unmasking.
exactly.
In the
Yep.
spirit of unmasking, here are my
Mhm.
balls on the table. I bet you didn't know
We're
I
gonna
have
put
balls.
all our
Um,
balls on the table. Yep.
no, at this point, I'm just messing with everybody. Um,
I could just imagine people are like, "Is she transgender?"
Yeah.
I know, right? Like,
It's quite the visual.
I'm tall enough that I've been accused of it before. Not that I find it terribly insulting because it's like, oh, you mean I'm living my life authentically who I am? Oh, sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, what is that? It's not the kind of cut some people think it is.
No.
That's the risk of unmasking is comments from people in public. Yeah.
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 That's always the risk you're gonna get. So you gotta have a thick
Or on
skin if you
Facebook.
want to be yourself. Oh yeah, or on Facebook. Yep. If you're gonna be yourself and talk about your ADHD, you're gonna have people making comments.
Oh, yeah.
So just
For sure, but just be prepared to own it. That's when you have to have the own it mentality of,
right. I
"You
just
know
laugh at
what?
the haters.
Maybe my pants fell down, and maybe I wasn't even wearing underwear, but you know what? I like my thighs, and I've just decided that that's good enough." Like
Perfect analogy.
yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent. Annette's face says it all, though. It's the angry school teacher look.
All right, we better wrap this shit up here.
Yep.
This
We're
is going
wrapping it up.
downhill very quickly.
Yeah, I think
She's only saying that because I just mentioned her school teacher look.
Uh-oh.
No, that's the Cruella de Vil look. Uh-oh.
That's
Okay.
the Catrill look. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that is. That's Catrill. That is branded Catrill.
Okay, let's wrap
So,
this.
no, I just like to sit here spluttering uncomfortably because I'm unmasking, okay?
You do you, Jen. We'll just sit here.
Yeah. All right. So, I've taken my pants off and now I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Metaphorically, I mean, of course, metaphorically speaking. We all wear pants, right?
Thank you for
Right?
listening,
This
everybody.
is only the equivalent of a Zoom call.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're not.
No. Seriously though,
No.
thank you for listening to us on our bullshit that we spew.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
Thanks
we
for putting up
appreciate
with
it.
our bullshit. And we love
Yeah.
all of you guys. And of course, Basil Tov.
Basil
Mazel
tov.
tov. Woo. All right. Bye.